The Mating School by Jonas Mears, Chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 9. That was incredible, said Anne, making a right turn down the wide corridor. It was delicious, said Lily. The potatoes practically melted in my mouth. I've never had food as good as that before. Not the food, said Anne, playfully pushing Lily and laughing. I meant that power. You had to have felt it. Oh, that, said Lily. It had made her uncomfortable, but she wasn't sure what else she should say. It had to have been the lichen, said Anne. I've never felt anything like that before. Nor me, said Lily. But I'd hate to be his mate. That much power is uncomfortable to be around, I think. And what if he ever lost control? Anne winced at the thought. Fair point that. It is cool, though. I wonder what will become of it all. The lichen, said Lily. Well, yeah, that, said Anne, adjusting her grip on her travel bag. But also, what it means, I guess. All these things have to be happening for a reason. What things? Said Lily, but Anne seemed a bit wary to answer, as if maybe there were some things she wasn't supposed to mention. Just the lichen and the prophecy is all, said Anne. Lily wondered if that was all. Anne consulted her map before taking a left turn toward where the dorms were located. Lily followed quietly. Her mind was busy with thoughts. Part 2. They found Anne's room first. The building seemed to have a kind of square frame center comprised of spacious main corridors. In the center was a massive park-sized courtyard. It was too dark to see out, though. Branching off from each side of the central square, there were other passageways. According to the map, some lead off to quiet spaces to study, but others lead to general hangout areas and game rooms. But still others lead to protected practice rooms where students could shift into their second forms and practice their abilities without a risk of damaging the space. Not that I'll be using those practice rooms much, thought Lily silently, hurrying her steps a bit to catch up to Anne. Most shifters took the form of wolves, hence all the myths and stories about werewolves. But it was much different in reality. Shifters don't need a full moon to access their second form. Apart from wolves, some mammals were fairly commonplace. Animals like rabbits and other rodents, some larger mammals too. She'd never heard of someone turning into a fish, though. She'd heard of some reptile second forms, but so few it might be more of a myth. The form someone takes is highly correlated to their genetics. It's not an absolute indicator by any means. Sometimes shifters have very unexpected second forms, but those individuals are the exception and not the rule. Lily found herself thinking about the animals. She remembered how when she was younger she thought it'd be so embarrassing if she got the second form of a rat. And yet, rat forms are useful the same as any other. Much better than having no second form at all. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the dorms are this way, said Anne, taking a turn into a still smaller corridor. Lily looked at her map also. It looked like all the dorms were located in this area. Oh, here, said Anne, stopping a bit too suddenly. This one's mine. She lifted her wristband to the scanner on the door, and it clicked unlocked. Lily looked past Anne into the room as Anne placed her traveling bag on the bed nearest the door. It was a modest room, yet still spacious. Much larger than the room Lily had shared with her 3 roommates back at the Audiobook pack. Gosh, that seemed like a long time ago now. Did they only leave this morning? She wondered if she'd ever return. But did she want to return? But that was an easy question. She had to return. She had to see the orphans again, the family that she'd created and stuck by through such difficult situations. See you at breakfast tomorrow? Said Lily. No way, said Anne. I haven't seen your room yet. Lily smiled. She felt lucky to have found such a good friend. She was glad she didn't have to go to her room alone also. She couldn't be sure if she'd have roommates there. She wondered what her room would look like. Being here in this strange new world felt so surreal. It felt exciting. Lily recognized that that was a rather foreign feeling to her before now. And yet, it was an amazing feeling. "Let's go then," she said to Anne. Chapter 10. The room was very similar to what Lily saw of Anne's. There were 2 beds, but Lily's roommate didn't seem to have arrived yet. The room was large for just 2 people. The metallic silver finishes on the crown molding, furniture, and door gave the room a sense of modest luxury. There was a private bathroom in the room also. It was small but nice and functional. She couldn't help but smile thinking about how she wouldn't have to be sharing a bathroom with so many others like she had at a Judah pack. The relief and surprise left Lily short of breath. She'd be so sure she was being sent here to do kitchen work or chores. And now she felt a thrill, but fear as well. What would she be doing here? Her new bed gave a soft cush sound as she sat down. Feeling the stress from the day ebb away, she opened the folder that had been given to her. Under the code of conduct and the map, there was another map. "Wonder what that's for," said Lily. Anne climbed onto the bed next to her, opening her folder also. She said in thought, rotating it a bit. There must be another level of the school. Lily hadn't considered this. From what they'd seen, the building was massive. She hadn't considered there'd be another level. She thought about the courtyard they passed on their way here, but there was no second story above this one. That meant, "It must be the floor under us," said Anne. "Yeah, look here," said Lily, pointing to the central square on this new level that aligned with the level above. "It says classrooms are on that level. And a library." "Yeah," said Anne, picking up the next sheet in her folder. "And there's another floor under that." Lily was astounded. "This place is huge," she thought to say, but was distracted by the last paper in her folder. "Class schedule," said Anne, finding hers as well. Lily read through the classes, excited to see what they'd be learning. "Oh, look," said Anne. "We have life principles and general agility together." "I wonder what those are like," said Lily. "What other classes do you have?" "Business practices and negotiation," said Anne, with a face that suggested she didn't think she'd be very good at those subjects. "Oh, but look," she said, leaning closer to Lily's schedule and pointing. "You got into the abilities class? I've heard that's crazy hard." Lily's face paled. She wasn't sure what to think. How will she manage a class like that when she isn't even able to shift? "Oh, and look," said Anne, clearly more excited about Lily's class list than her own. "You've got energy control and fighting defense also. That's incredible." "I think they made a mistake," said Lily, wringing anxious hands. "They probably gave me someone else's schedule." "They can't have," said Anne. "Look, it has your name on it." Said Lily, wondering how much she should tell Anne. "But I can't take those classes." "Why not?" said Anne. "Well, I can't shift." Part 2. The next morning came several hours too early for Lily's liking. She had a hard time sleeping because of the new space, and because of thoughts about what she would do about her class schedule. She wondered if she still might be delegated to maid work after all. Her first class, energy control, wouldn't start until 9 a.m., and it was only 7:30. She did see her roommate, but only briefly last night. And it was so late by then that they'd only had time enough for her to introduce herself as Sophie. She'd left before Lily even got up. The new clothing was hung neatly in the closet space. It was gray and comfortable. It was a bit plain, but Lily didn't mind it. She couldn't help but feel a bit unnerved by the organization of this school. Everything is in order. Everything is assigned. Yet, there was nothing she could make of it or do about it, so she pushed it from her mind as she headed to the dining hall to see if breakfast was available. She only got lost 3 times. The food smelled amazing, but she only took a blueberry muffin because her nerves regarding the day to come seemed to stifle her appetite. It felt strange to be seated alone, but Anne didn't answer when she knocked on her door on the way. She thought she might be here, but after looking around, she wasn't to be found. So Lily took an out-of-the-way seat in a far corner. She was grateful for the new uniform. With everyone dressed the same, it was much easier to blend in. She wouldn't have any classes with Anne today. And as the dining hall started to clear as people headed off to their first classes, Lily decided she'd better head out too. She hoped she'd see Anne at lunch, but before that time came, she'd have to face the unknown of energy control.